Ancient Egypt, a kingdom of great pharaohs and a cradle of civilization. But after 3,000 years, this rule came to an end with the last pharaoh, Queen Cleopatra. For centuries, this enigmatic woman has captured the imagination of the world. But the location of her tomb is still a mystery. Today, archaeologists across Egypt are on the hunt for clues. Renowned Egyptologists Colleen and John Darnell are experts in decoding hieroglyphs. They're on their way to the Valley of the Kings.
We're headed to the location of the burials of nearly every pharaoh of the New Kingdom.
The valley is a rabbit warren of 65 hidden tombs. They form one of the greatest royal cemeteries in the world, but not all of them are finished.
This morning we're going to the unfinished tomb of Ramesses XI. It's the last tomb begun in the Valley of the Kings, and many times unfinished things in Egypt can actually tell you a little bit more than the completed product.
Ramesses XI reigned over 1,000 years before Cleopatra. But when he died, his tomb was never used.
So here you can see just the initial phases of the tomb decoration, but it's already a beautiful depiction of Ramesses XI. We know exactly who we're looking at because of his cartouches, his name rings in front of his face.
Looks like they've laid out what would have been remarkable illustrations and texts early in the initial part of the tomb.
The tomb of Ramesses XI is located in the east of the Valley of the Kings. Its cavernous chambers and pillared halls reveal how the pharaoh should have been buried. But the back of the tomb is unfinished. After 500 years of Egypt's kings and queens being buried in the valley, Ramesses' tomb marks the end of an era. Ramesses XI abandoned the Valley of the Kings, and no more pharaohs were buried here.
This is very much the end of a legacy. This is the end of kings being buried in the Valley of the Kings, but it's also the start of something new, of continued royal burial that really ends with Cleopatra.
Historians believe this royal burial site was abandoned because of looting. But no one has found the cemetery for the last pharaohs of Egypt, Cleopatra and her family line. So where could it be? After the valley fell out of use, eventually Egypt's seat of power shifted north to Alexandria. The last great dynasty of pharaohs established their capital here to exploit trade across the Mediterranean Sea. Archaeologist Dr. Ross Thomas from the British Museum is here exploring the ancient capital for evidence that could lead to Cleopatra.
The ancient city housed about 500,000 people during the 1st century BC, and it was one of the most important ancient ports and ancient cities of the Mediterranean.
The port city of Alexandria was founded by Alexander the Great, who conquered Egypt 2,300 years ago. It was famed for its palaces, statues, its library, and a colossal lighthouse standing over 350 feet tall, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. During this time, Egypt was ruled by the successors of Alexander, the Greek pharaohs called the Ptolemies. But this family line ended when the country was eventually conquered by Rome, leaving the last pharaoh of Egypt, Queen Cleopatra.